What's good, you guys? It's your boy Raheem the Dream, and thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of Hood Dreams TV. On today's episode, I am giving you guys my recap to episode 3 of season 16's The Real Housewives of Atlanta. And if you are new to my channel, Jumbo, I'm so happy to have you. Please do me a favor and make sure that you hit the subscribe button. That's most important. Also, share this video to your friends and your family, and just hit the thumbs up. That's the like button. All right, so we're going to go ahead and just jump right into the recap. And we start off this episode with Brittany, and she's talking to her husband, and their family is on their way over to their home, and she's excited to see everyone. They then cut to a confessional where she's talking about how she's always been this bad bitch since high school, and how she used to be a video vixen in high school. And that actually goes back to my previous episodes where she pretty much said the same thing about her being a video vixen in high school and stuff. And I always kept saying in the other 2 episodes, I was wondering, where was her parents at? Like, how are you a video vixen in high school? That just doesn't make sense. But we'll get into that a little more in a moment. But and let's also just say, if she was 18 in high school, then I can understand that. But if she was under the age of 18 in high school, being a video vixen, huge problem. But she also talked about how she dated some of the most stunners, rappers, and ballers. You know, those people with big money. She says she used to date them. And I can definitely get that type of vibe from her. She's the type of girl that they would go after. Let's see. She says that when she got with her husband, Mike, she liked the fact that he was very reserved, and low key. And she thought that he was a real man, quote, a real man. So let me see. All right, her family then comes over and is welcomed by Brittany and the husband. And then they cut to confessional again with Brittany, and they ask her, is it true that she used to date Rick Ross, the rapper, back in the day? And she did confirm that it is true that she did used to date him, but that was the past. Let's see. Her husband Mike brings up how he's ready to start having kids like tomorrow. But Brittany says that she's ready to have their wedding ceremony tomorrow. And if you're confused by that, they are technically married. They're already married, but they never had the ceremony because they got married during COVID time. So she still wants to have the ceremony, even though they're technically already married. And I don't blame her for that. COVID really came and tore a whole lot of stuff up for a whole lot of people, me included. I lost my mom to it, so I definitely don't blame her for wanting to have the big dream wedding. I mean, most women, dream of that. So she can still have it. Let's see. And I'm guessing she don't want to be pregnant while, walking down the aisle. So they might want to go ahead and take care of this ceremony first, and then let's worry about the baby after. His sister, Mike, the husband, his sister asked what was the holdup as far as having the baby. I just lost my place. Oh, he said that he didn't want to talk about it over dinner. Then the sister and Brittany, actually before that, no, scratch that. So the sister and Brittany, they do go downstairs to talk and chat. Brittany tells us, the fans, that she lost her dad at the age of 15, and that makes a little more sense now. She lost her dad when she was just a teenager in high school. And she said that he worked in the mortgage industry, and he had a $2 million life insurance policy that his family was never, her mom was never able to get because the dad passed away in the middle of transitioning from one job to another job. And that's something I completely never thought about. I mean, I'm 32 going on 33, but, and like most people, I'm always thinking about changing my job at any moment. So I can wake up today and be like, nope, need something different. You guys just make sure that if that's the case, that you don't plan on dying in that transition. Otherwise, you might not be able to, your loved ones might not be able to get your life insurance money. But also, let's go back to the passing, her dad's passing at age 15. That now makes more sense as to why she was a video vixen and just this bad bitch and doing photo shoots for men magazines while she was in high school. That all makes sense now because she lost her dad. Her dad was not there to say no, absolutely not. No daughter of mine will ever, so that was very unfortunate, his passing, and I'm sorry that happened. It seems like it made a big impact on her. It did make a big impact on her. She went to go be in a men's field, where she's taking her clothes off and looking sexy for men. But let's go on to the next part. She mentions that her starting her insurance agency was important, and that goes back to her dad's passing, and that, motivated her to create an insurance company, agency. Let me see. She also talks about, to her sister-in-law, how, with her, agency that she had, that her two sisters used to work with her. But she ended up selling her business, and she hasn't really talked to her sisters much since selling the business. I guess they had some type of falling out. So I do hope that they are able to rekindle. And if they are, hopefully we get to see it on the show. But next we meet up with Portia. And she's meeting up with Kelly at a restaurant. Portia's already there, and then we see Kelly coming in. It's kind of awkward, as we know from the first episode. Portia didn't really want to deal too much with Kelly ever since Kelly came in guns blazing, and asking questions to Portia like, why'd you steal that girl's man? So Portia pretty much was over Kelly ever since then and didn't want to talk to her. Yeah, it was awkward at first, but then they started to warm up to each other. For the most part, this scene was laughs and giggles. Kelly breaks the ice by asking, because they were just sitting there quiet for for us, it was like a minute, but in real life, without the editing, there's no telling how long they were just sitting there not talking. But Kelly breaks the ice, and she's asking, so what are we giving today? And Portia's like, I don't know, because, you got different personalities. And Kelly, she's like, what? I got different personalities. Oh, no. And so they kind of laugh about that. But then Kelly brings up how, she brings up the moment when she was speaking with Shamia and Brittany, and let me see. and she was talking about her asking Shamia why Portia took that girl's man. Portia lies again like she did to Dennis, and she says, Kelly, I promise you, that's not how it was brought back to me. And I'm like, Portia, Shamia told you exactly what was said. But Portia in this scene, she was like, I guess, like questioning, like, why was Shamia, either lie, or why would she make it sound as if Kelly was talking bad about her, which Kelly was. But she chops it up to say that pretty much like, in my heart, I don't feel like Shamia was being messy by telling me what y'all had said about me. Let me see. And then right before the scene ends, Kelly and Portia, they are laughing and they're talking about how Portia enjoyed Kelly pretty much coming for her, and Portia was like, yeah, I do enjoy the back and forth, because this show it's a back and forth show, and it can be fun depending on how far you go. I love to sit there and just have a roast between friends. We used to do this all the time back in high school at the lunch table. We just sit there and we just take turns going back and forth, roasting each other. And if it's funny, it's funny. But some jokes are, or can be too far. But, Portia, obviously, and Kelly are the type of people who can sit there and just go back and forth roasting each other and not feel no type of way at the end of the day about what's been said. And I like that. You gotta have thick skin. So next we jump to Drew, and she's in the studio and she's getting ready to record some music. She does mention that she had just gotten back from Puerto Rico, and she was shooting a horror movie there where she had did a lot of screaming. And I'm guessing she's mentioning that to the producers because, in case she has a vocal crack while singing or something, she wants us to know, hey, look, my voice has been through it. I've been screaming in this horror movie. Excuse me. Let me see. And I can't actually wait to see and hear more about this movie. Because we know Drew is a fantastic actress. So let us know, Drew. I supported that movie you did with Candy and Todd. I'll watch this one too. Anyway, she gets in the booth and she starts singing this song, which is like a slow ballad. And Cynthia, Kenya, and Angela walk into her recording session, and they get to hear a little bit of the song, and they tell her that it sounds great. And then that's when they get right into the tea. Let's see, Kenya does ask Angela if she had ever been married before, and Angela says no, and says that this was her first marriage as well as her husband's first marriage. And she tells us, and Kenya, Drew, and Cynthia that where they lived at, she used to have their concierge, the lady concierge at the desk, to keep tabs on her husband and ask about his whereabouts and who he been with and where he been and stuff. Smart lady. I would too. I just don't know about that concierge lady, because I'm pretty sure if he found out that she was snitching on him, she wouldn't have too much of a job left. But that was neat to hear that she had concierge keeping tabs on her husband. Y'all have to be creative, hire you a private investigator or something. Let's see. Kenya then asks Drew about Dennis, and mentioned that Drew mentioned that Dennis was actually supposed to be there at the studio session currently at that time. And who was it? Was it Cynthia or Angela who asked if he was an executive producer. Anyway, somebody asked if he was the EP, and she said yes, and that he also was helping her pick out a song, I guess, as a single. Also, Drew flat out lies, and she tells the ladies that she does not talk. She didn't talk to Dennis, because Portia was like, "Have you talked?" I mean, Kenya was like, "Have you talked to Dennis about all this stuff that's going on with you and Portia?" And Drew says, "Yeah, we did talk, but only through text." And she was like, "We don't talk on the phone." And then the messy producers, they flash back to episode 1 where she was on the phone with him and his name was Dennis Bro, and they were on a phone call. So stop lying, Drew. Stop lying. And I wouldn't be mad if you did talk to him on the phone. Who cares? Text or call, it doesn't matter. Like, you're already in this situation with him, and so I mean it's kind of too late. Shit, go ahead and talk to him on the phone. Like, texting him ain't gonna make Portia feel no type of better about it. So, but anyway. Kenya does tell, Drew does tell the ladies that, with all of this information that, is going on with her and Dennis, she does feel attacked. And Kenya tells Drew right then and there, like, "Drew, I love you, but you brought this on yourself." And she was like, "You're out here looking like a whore." And Cynthia is funny this season. Cynthia was like, "Oh, not a whore." She was like, "That's worse than a hoe." But let me see. Angela brings up Shamia and the fact that Shamia asked Drew about Dennis at Shamia's birthday party in front of the whole group. And Angela tells the ladies that Shamia was, I guess, like, very, like, loud with her, and I guess she didn't say the word aggressive, but I guess that's what she was, like, insinuating. And I'm like, Angela, okay, now you're lying, because, baby, you were the one getting turned up with Shamia. She had just sat there and did her little workout, and then you decided to turn up on her for Drew. So, baby, I don't know if you had a little too much to drink, but it's reverse day when it comes to you. You were coming for Shamia, not the other way around. Anyway, Drew did let the ladies know that after Shamia's birthday party, Portia did reach out to her stating that she wanted to talk to Drew. So I guess at that point, they're going to sit down sometime and talk about everything that's going on. Or, maybe over the phone. I don't know if it'll be a sit down, but Portia wants to talk. So hopefully we get to see them talk. Next we jump to Shamia's scene, and she's doing a scene with her two sisters, and she's pretty much, I guess, like, thanking them for being there for her and her kids, because we all know that Shamia has been having to do a lot of traveling, and it's been a lot on her, especially with the second baby, who has a few conditions. Well, a condition, I'm sorry. And I guess her sisters have just really stepped up to the plate to help Shamia. And so she's grateful for them. And she says that her middle sister has lupus. So, that's very commendable that her middle sister, having lupus and still trying to be there for Shamia and her nieces, knowing that she's having her own battles. So, kudos to her. And Shamia has an emotional moment with her sisters where she's like tearing up, just talking about how life has just been really busy, and she doesn't know, what the future holds. But she doesn't know what the future holds as far as her daughter with the conditions. I think her name is Shiloh. But at the same time, even without knowing what the future holds, she still does want more kids, which she wants to do via surrogacy. Next, we jump to Angela and her husband at one of her properties. Mind you, she has 5 properties that she's renovating. And at this particular property, it looks really nice. We're getting to see what it looks like inside, and I like it. I would put a bid in. Let me see. Angela does a confessional where she advises us that Charles has invested his trust money and money in, well, I guess not trust money. He has invested his trust and his money into her real estate business. And I thought that was interesting because I thought this was her business only, and that he has absolutely nothing to do with this business, and it still might be that he might just be helping her with a particular project. But yeah, I thought that was interesting to bring up. Angela also does a confessional where she talks about Charles attending a game, I guess a basketball game in New York, because we know he's a basketball player, ex-basketball player. And while he was at the game, the coach, I don't know if it's his coach that he used to play for, or if it's some other random coach, but she says that the coach had security to put him out of the arena because he doesn't like Charles. And she said that event impacted their marriage. And I guess it, so many different things were probably happening in their marriage to the point where they had to live separately. And at this point of their lives, she feels like their marriage needs some type of refresh or renewal. So she wants to do, I guess, like a renewal ceremony. And so I think that would be good, because y'all know I don't too much care for Angela's husband. I feel like behind closed doors, like he's very Cordell-ish, pretty much like, this is my world, you live in it, you ask me questions before you do this, before you do that, and I will tell you yes or no if you can or if you can't. Type. That's the vibe I get from him. I don't know why. It's just, I don't know. But next, Drew is meeting up with her lawyer, and Drew, the outfit that she walks in with, a mess. An absolute mess. And you could say, hey, it's fashion, but look, that fashion needs to be thrown in the trash. It's a black suit, with the jacket and bottoms, of course, a black suit. But in front of the suit, it's like there's some type of lingerie type of corset that's like sewed on to only one side of the suit. And it's white, but the suit is black. And the corset is, it's not squeezed in tight. And there's actually this big old long string that's just dangling. Not cute. Not cute. Do not be letting these people and these stylists pump your head up to be like, it's fashion. And even if it is fashion, just because it looked good on the model does not mean that it looks good on you. You have to look into the mirror before you step on scene. Like, I'm sorry. And if you don't like it, don't do it. Don't let these people sit there and boost your head up like, girl, you look good. No, you didn't. But you're beautiful, outside of that outfit. Can't never take that away. You're gorgeous. Just burn that outfit. So yeah, she's meeting up with her lawyer, and my babe over here texting. She's meeting up with her lawyer, and they start talking about their last hearing at court and how Ralph's lawyer did not show up to court, and Ralph, I guess, pretty much had to fend for himself at court. And she talks about how Ralph was cross-examining her as if he was a lawyer. I thought that was funny. She also talks about how Ralph isn't really being transparent with what his income is, which is holding up the process of the divorce. And it's mentioned, her attorney, lawyer, mentions that their divorce files are currently sealed, but the judge is going to unseal them. And once they're unsealed, things will start to come out and will become public information. Drew wanted to know what type of things are going to come out, and the lawyer says things are going to come out such as like Ralph being a serial cheater, Ralph taking money out of Drew's account even though they're separated, and different women just approaching Drew and telling her that they have been with Ralph. And the last thing they said was that pretty much Ralph is stalking Drew. The word was tracking. But if you're not in a relationship with your wife anymore, y'all are separated, why are you tracking her? Whether it's an app, whether you put some type of tracking on her phone, on her car, whether you have a person such as like a private investigator following her, why are you doing this? You don't want her. Go on about your life. I thought that was really creepy that he was, I keep saying stalking, that he was tracking her when he's not even with her. And I don't want to hear, oh, that's the mother of his child. I don't care. There's so many men who aren't tracking their baby mamas. Let me see. So that all is going to come out once the files have been unsealed. Next, we cut to a scene where Shamia is taking her oldest daughter, Shia, to have tonsil surgery and have her tonsils removed. And then there was a quick little scene, and then they cut to a scene where Portia and her mom, they're at some type of spa, and they're talking about, all the things that are going on with the ladies. And Portia says that Simon refuses to talk to her, and that she did try reaching out to people in Simon's life, such as their pastor, Simon's pastor, Simon's cousin, and even Simon's uncles who are still back in Africa. And she says that in his culture, when a marriage starts to decline or has issues, it is in Simon's culture that they get help from the family, I guess, to try to put everything back together. But in this case, everybody that she reached out to wants to stay out of it, and they don't want nothing to do with it. And she says that the uncles are in agreement of the divorce, and they want the two of them to divorce. So I thought that was like, whoa, okay. Let me see. Portia then brings up how Shamia brought, the negative comments back to her. Portia brings up how Shamia brought up the negative comments that Kelly and Brittany said about Portia back to Portia. And Portia's mom tells Portia that she needs to pretty much, in so many words, keep an eye out for Shamia, pretty much like implying that Shamia, isn't a good friend. And I ain't never had an issue with Portia's mama, but baby, don't act like Portia, because Portia's already an idiot and lies, and we like you. but we can easily not like you too, because Shamia is a fantastic friend to Portia, and always has been and still is. So the fact that you telling Portia to watch out for Shamia when it's really the other way around, Shamia should have been dropped Portia probably before they even got out of high school. Let's be real and let's be honest. There's been so many times where Portia has not been a good friend to Shamia. So I think you might want to tell your daughter to start being a better friend. That's the advice you need to be giving your daughter. Let me see. Next, we cut to a scene where everyone is starting to get ready for Kelly's Balmain mommy and daughter foundation event. And everyone starts to come in and everyone's looking really cute. And they're just kind of doing their own thing. But we see Angela standing over in the corner, talking to Cynthia. And she asks Cynthia if now is a good time to talk to Shamia, you know, after everything that happened with her and Shamia falling out. And I thought that was a stupid question to ask, because why would you have that conversation here? Could you not, you know, tell production, hey, I want to schedule a scene where me and Mia sit down at a restaurant or a bar, somewhere quiet, or not at a foundation event, pretty much anywhere but there, so that we can have this back and forth scene. So yeah, I thought that was stupid to even ask Cynthia. Let me see. They then cut to Shamia standing off with Portia in another corner, and Portia asks Shamia if Shamia and Angela has talked, and Shamia says, who? The lady from the 90s with the retro nose? And Shamia ate her up with that, because y'all know I've been talking about that nose. I said something about her nose on the first episode recap, and I was like, I don't know if that's just makeup, because you know makeup can literally change your entire appearance and make it look like you got a nose job. And I has made a statement saying I didn't know if it was makeup or if it was, you know, a rhinoplasty, because it looked like she got a nose job, several of them. And so Shamia is pretty much implying / confirming that there was some rhinoplasty in the room. Let me see. Why my notes keep jumping all over the place? Oh, I am weak, and I'm going to insert this picture, and I might make this my actual thumbnail. I think I'm going to make this my thumbnail. But after Shamia said what she said about the with the retro 90s nose, they cut to a confessional of Shamia, and she's sucking her nose in. And it's funny because we used to do this when we was kids in like elementary school and middle school, but she was like, I can't do both sides like I used to as a kid, but she was like, and it was just sucked in. I hollered. That shit was funny. Not to, you know, be talking about people's appearance and shit, but Angela, you did start it. You started it. And shit, I laugh at everything. I'm sorry, I can't hold my laughter. Next, Kelly gets on the mic and is explaining to everyone what OI, or osteogenesis imperfecta, is. And she explains that 3 of her daughters were born with it. I'm guessing it's the last 3, because she has 1 daughter, which is the oldest, and then the last 3 daughters, they're by the same guy. So I'm assuming it's the last 3 daughters that she has, and not the oldest daughter, who have OI. And she explains that OI is a genetic disease, and most people know it as brittle bone disease. She then tells us about a story of how her daughter whose name is Chance, was taken to the hospital. She took her daughter to the hospital, and she says that CPS and the police, they were standing outside of her door and not trying to let her leave out of the room because I guess they thought that she was abusing her daughter. But it was all cleared up and she eventually got to go home. Once they found out that the condition is OI. Let's see. After that moment, and she did also, by the way, when she was telling that story, she did get a little emotional. It was very touching. But after that moment, she then releases everybody, to continue shopping and talking. And you see Drew coming in late. So you done missed the whole talk. You coming in late. And Angela walks up to Shamia and she, pretty much acknowledges to Shamia that the last time they saw each other, it wasn't, a pleasant or a good back and forth that they had. And Shamia immediately agrees with her. Like, yeah, it wasn't pleasant type shit. And Angela didn't like the tone that Shamia had. Angela tells Shamia that she would like to sit down with Shamia one day so that they can talk about, their disagreements, the issue that they had. And Shamia tells Angela that she would like to sit down with the real Angela, not Drew's assistant. And I thought that was funny because she was putting it back on Angela because that's what started this whole thing in the first place, is Angela telling Shamia that she is Portia's assistant or lapdog. And so now Shamia was like, yeah, I would like to speak to the real you, not Drew's assistant. And Angela, she's like, no, the Angela that told you how she felt at the gym, I'm the real Angela. This is me. I'm still Angela. And so, Shamia pretty much lets her know, like, oh, okay, well, if you are still the same Angela that said that to me back then we don't have anything to talk about then, because you're still the same Angela. You haven't changed. You still feel the same way that you feel. So I guess there's nothing for us to talk about. It's pretty much how Shamia is feeling. And I don't blame her. We're not going to talk because you still feel the same way that you feel. And at the end of the day, we're not going to get anywhere because you still feel how you feel. What's to talk about? But Angela, let me see. Angela starts calling Shamia mean. And she starts calling her Shamina. And she says it twice. And Shamia says, if you don't take back that 99 nose. And then Angela calls Shamia Flavor Flav. I was not okay with her calling Shamia Flavor Flav. I promise you I wasn't. I immediately, when she said that, I was like, oh, what do you mean by that? What do you mean by Shamia looks like Flavor Flav? Because number one, Flavor Flav couldn't ever, not even in another life, could he ever compare to Shamia's beauty? Could he ever compete with the fact that she is a woman and not a man? Like, what do you mean that she looks like Flavor Flav? Are you trying to call her black? Like dark skin, burnt black? Like, what do you mean by that? Because she is dark skinned and black and she's beautiful. And you ain't got nothing on Shamia when it comes to the looks departments. Shamia is eating you up in every way. I think she was trying to be a colorist. I don't want to say that's true, but I think she was being a colorist by saying that Shamia looks like Flavor Flav. And Shamia, she does a confessional where she says that, yeah, I was Flavor Flav one year for Halloween, but I'm pretty sure Shamia dressing up a while ago as Flavor Flav had nothing to do with Angela calling her Flavor Flav. I'm pretty sure she was just flat out telling Shamia, you a black ass. Pretty much. That's what she wanted to say. Yep, you're black. And some people probably gonna be like, oh, you're reaching. No, y'all are dumb if you don't think that's what she meant. But let me see. Oh, and I do also have to bring up how there was another time where I feel like Shamia's skin tone was being brought into question. Well, not into question, was being judged. And that was back when Eva the Diva, Eva Marcel from America's Next Top Model, when she was on that 1 or 2 seasons of Atlanta Housewives. And you remember when she called Shamia black, she was like, what did she say? She was like black with a Q, and they were questioning her. They were just like, what do you mean by she's black? And we saw Eva try to squirm her way out of it, but y'all gonna leave Shamia's skin color alone. That's what y'all gonna do. Because at the end of the day, I ain't gonna hold her. She better than all y'all in every way. Let me see. So after Shamia tells everybody that she was Flavor Flav for 2023's Halloween, she says, I was Flavor Flav, but she was like, I didn't know that Angela was coming to the event today as LaToya Jackson. When she said that, I was cracking up. I said, not LaToya, because you know them Jacksons. And I said something about this last week, I think on last week's episode, how she got that Jackson nose. You know how them Jacksons, they had these big black people bell pepper noses. Ain't nothing wrong with it. I got one a little bit. It ain't that big, but them Jacksons, they all went and got tiny super noses. Like if you remember Dwight, when he was on the show with Nene and Sheree and Marlo and all that, how he went and got that tiny nose that you can barely breathe out of. I hollered when she said LaToya Jackson nose. But next, Shamia, she goes over to Drew, because of course Drew got to the party late, and she gives Drew a hug, and she tells Drew that she didn't mean to embarrass Drew or make Drew feel any type of way, basically, after their last sit down, I guess at Shamia's party, where she had brought up, the question to Drew about Drew and Dennis, and, their sit down right after that at the gym, and they pretty much just chop it up to decide to go ahead and just move on, let bygones be bygones. We're going to move on. Let's see. So the party starts to die down, and Kelly mentions that she made about $30,000 from, that night. And the proceeds will go to the foundation. And $30,000, I mean, it's a lot, but compared to all the people in that room who have money, that just didn't really seem like a lot. But then again, the event didn't seem like it was a packed, event. It looked like it didn't have any more than 30 people in the room. So, I mean, that might be a reason why they only came up with 30,000. And if that's the case, to where it was only 30 people in the room, then 30,000 is amazing. That's an amazing number to come up with not a lot of people to show up. But next, Drew walks up to Portia and reminds Portia that Portia wanted the two of them to meet up to talk. And Portia, she's like, yeah, I haven't been able to meet up with you. I've been sick and you know how Portia is and how she gets ghost, especially on Drew. Just to meet up and have a simple conversation, you have to plan it out 3 months in advance, because for the next 3 months, she's so busy, or stuff just keeps popping up to where she can't sit down and just have a quick conversation with you. And I thought that was so ignorant of Portia to just be like, oh, I've been sick. You don't want to talk to Drew is what it is. And I'd rather you just say, bitch, I don't want to talk to you. But Drew was like, oh, well, I mean, we're free to talk now. I mean, we're both here. And it seemed like it was pretty much the end of the event. And Portia was like, no, I don't want to talk. And she was like avoiding it. Portia's she's just really childish. But Portia's like, all right, I'm about to get ready to go. Why don't you just take 2 minutes, talk to Drew about what it is that you wanted to talk to Drew about? I don't know. You can tell Portia lives in her own world and she thinks that the world revolves around her and y'all are going to be on her time and nobody else's. But that was the end of the episode. I will be doing a recap for next week's episode as well. I'm going to try to make sure that I keep these episodes coming for you guys. I'm not really getting a lot of people to be watching these videos, but they will be there, for future people to come and look at them in the future. But if you enjoyed my recap, please make sure that you hit the subscribe button. I did this. Make sure that you hit the subscribe button. Also, make sure that you hit the like button, which is the thumbs up, and subscribe to my channel if you have not already. But until the next video, it is your boy Raheem the Dream, and thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of Hood Dreams TV. Until the next one, you guys stay safe. Love you. Bye-bye. So take it. I don't wanna take no more.